And you know what is the hot stuff? The stuff we just need tapped right into our vein. More Hera. You guys love him. So let's feature him again. This time up against Lacone. You know what? It's really just a shame that Hera wasn't playing a different civ with a similar flag here. This would have been perfect, considering Hera always spams England every time I see him at the moment. And Lacone is clearly meant to be Le French, right? But no, Lacone is playing the other side of the coin, right? The ever giving and taking nature of England and France across history. He will be playing as the English here on Black Forest. But Hera will be manning the Mongols. Mongols that we haven't been seeing really at all on Black Forest. And I don't know why necessarily. I understand why people think that they're crap on Black Forest and it's walling, right? But as we have seen in recent days, walling is not that good on Black Forest. All you have to do is chop a tree down and go around it. So I'm excited to see what Hera can pull off here, if they're going to be good enough. And they're going to be against another aggressive civ, right? This isn't going to be one civ sitting back and just getting pummeled in the pooper. It's going to be back and forth because England and Mongols both have potential to be aggressive right out of the gate into feudal. In fact, Mongols have it even sooner into that Dark Age. I just don't expect to see it, considering that that would mean building spears and you're against England, which is a death sentence. I would absolutely love to see Hera build into a stable. Yeah, there it is, into a stable. And the reason behind this, by the way, is that you go for scouts and then you pull a villager up to your opponent's base and put down an outpost. And I think that he could be quick enough here to exploit England. Because remember that England is a slow build-up. They don't tend to invest a lot of people into landmark construction because they have to get the surplus resources to support what's going to come out of that landmark, that council hall, which is going to be longbowmen every 7 seconds, right? So what we usually see is 3, maybe 4 people building the landmark total. And that gives a huge window for a Mongol player to run a villager across the map and then build outposts that will be garrisoned by scouts. And I'm just a big fan of that strategy overall, by the way. I think if that strategy doesn't work out, it has back value, right? It has fallback value, which is in the event that your outposts don't go down, you failed there. Yes, one villager wasn't producing, but the scouts themselves will find value because what you can do instead is you can then just research pro scouts and then go gather up all the carcasses. I will say, at least on this map, it's less valuable, though, and I don't necessarily expect it to be engaged with. For a start, you have the waterfront, right? I think whenever you have water hybrid, pro scouts loses value. And on top of that, you may notice there is only 2 deer locations on this map. One of them is definitely benefiting Hera here, right next to his TC. So, opening details to highlight. Lacone did go into the straggler trees, by the way. I'm glad to see more players switching on and paying attention to this. I think it's a great way to utilize your early game economy. It means that you actually get fishing boats out sooner. And keep in mind that Lacone is the only one building, fishing boats right now in this matchup. And look at this. It's not even scouts in the end. Hera is already building a horseman army. It's a good idea up against the English, right? You know they're going to go longbows. There's no way in the world that they do not grab the longbows out of feudal, right? I don't think we've seen any true switch up. Yes, maybe sometimes you see some spears or some man-at-arms, but it's undeniable that every game of England you watch, there is longbowmen. There's just never a game where it's not the go-to play. It feels almost just taboo to even consider not doing it. In fact, there's plenty of games that we've watched where even when their opponent has a lot of heavy armor, longbow is still the choice over crossbowman, which is still one that kind of makes me rip my hair out a little bit. But I understand it, right? The additional range, the perks in the later phase of the game, getting the rapid fire, they're all pretty desirable elements to the English longbowman that makes them seem superior to all other options. And here we go. Outpost crawl begins. So already blocking out access to the berry bushes, but you don't care about that. Remember, you went fishing. The difference is that Hera never actually got a fishing line going here, which is quite surprising, actually. As, you know, fishing is just amazing for any civ, right? Like, it's the fact that you have a secondary building for pushing out your resource generating units, right? Yes, it's only one type of resource generation. You can only get food. But it means that it frees up your villagers to prioritize wood and gold. And it means that overall you have a stronger economy within the next 3 or 4 minutes from starting to do it. But instead, Hera invests in that early wood in the outpost network, and Council Hall now being built. Lacone has got 3 people on it. Make that 4 maybe. Either way, I was right. That's all that matters to me. My head is swelling up. At this rate, I won't be able to get out of the room. And the outpost won't take long to build. And it looks like he did bank the scouts in the end. Yeah, so he's got 2 horsemen who'll be able to bank the scouts. I wondered if he was going to continue the horsemen. I didn't expect it, though. So I prefer this. It's much better. And then the whole idea is you just park them inside. You just stick them inside. So second outpost going down. Could try and crawl in a third one. He actually could have been more aggressive in the first place. I'm surprised he wasn't. If you find the sweet spot, probably about here, you could plop it in range of where the villagers are building right now. And then the TC shouldn't be able to reach you. It's risky, though, and I think that's the only reason Hera didn't do it. Because if you're slightly off, you're a pixel off, and you're just 0.1 distance inside, remember the TC can target you now, and also England fires double the arrows. So you could easily lose your 2 villagers. Another outpost coming down. This one more frustrating, because it'll block out the racks. And that's awkward, because it means it's going to be very hard for you to trickle out troops. Meanwhile, these villies being brought somewhat low. Remember, one cool quirk that the English side have is their villagers are armed with bows. They are able to attack for 5 damage, ranged against other targets, but not able to snipe out the villager. Second Rax is going to go down. I like this play out of Lacone. He understands that it's no longer safe to push units out the forward Rax here. And the network's complete. Hera's blocked in his opponent. The question is, what does he do next? There's not many exit points either. Lacone has to the north, and that's literally it. Back in base. Hera, the cool thing about this is that he didn't really slow himself down with this move. And this is why I think a lot more Mongol players need to engage with this. It's an amazing opening. It's one that makes Mongols feel quite broken in a lot of matchups. The outpost crawl is not pricey. It's 70 wood each, right? Compared to, 100 wood for most civs. And also, the scout production doesn't cost you a lot, because all you do is you plop the Uvu, you get this passive generation of stone, and instead of paying 60 food each time, you're actually paying 30 food each time, right? Because you're paying half of it in stone that you're passively generating anyway. You're not even having workers gather that for you. And that's what makes it so cost-effective. Because it can actually shut out your opponent in a lot of ways. And also, if he never gets rid of these outposts, it gives you scalability in the later phases of the game when you get access to the YAM speed, right? Because then this functions as a forward network, allowing you to raid efficiently in and out of your opponent's base, courtesy of that additional movement speed that they cannot match. There we go. Lombo's starting to come out. Needs to be careful with the Khan. Won't be sniped out, but doesn't last long that close to the TC. Needs to get some troops up here, really. But I don't expect him to do that too quickly. And looks like he's got the gird down, so he's going to be able to gather on the deer. Hasn't done so yet, which is a bit odd. Yeah, he does seem to be delaying it quite a bit. And all the while, Lacone, now ready to move for a proper wood line, is going to shift out. And that's another cool detail here, by the way. Lacone, he didn't have an exposed economy for Hera to punish more. If he had already placed down a lumber camp, guaranteed Hera pushes the outpost crawl towards that lumber camp. But he doesn't know which way his opponent is going. So instead gambles on the north side, instead choosing to try and just box his opponent in, not being able to access directly his economical pocket back here. And here we go, Man-at-Arms now coming out. We don't see him often, but now they're early Man-at-Arms. They're not the Vanguard ones. They have a little bit more resistance and a little bit more health, but they're not lasting long against the flurry of arrows coming out of the outposts. They did at least prevent the new outpost going down. That was a big deal, by the way. If that one went down, you'd have no access to gold, and you'd have no way out of your base. So really important that he done that. And I think he sniped, was it both villages or one? Oh, wow, yeah, he actually got both. That's a really, really big deal. I thought he got one. No, yeah, okay, he did get one in the end. I was right. So, yeah, only one, but now this is very risky. You could easily be sniped out, right? A few longbone with that attack speed could insta-kill you. And there you go, already being struck at by the outpost, so... Awkward situation. I just don't think this is a completable outpost. You need it a little bit further back, but if you do that, then you're further away from safety and the longbows will just snipe you down. Hera still no switch up back in his base. It's just all in on what he's doing on the front right now. And it looks like he brought forward more of these villages. And he's pushing in with more outposts, but the racks are being dropped in the back by Lacone. And Lacone, this is a lot of man-at-arms now. But he's going to keep waiting. I like the patience. Lacone, remember, he can afford this. He's getting that gold trickle. There's enough coming in from this many workers on the gold line. And all of his food could be on the water and he's safe. So the only thing he has to worry about is losing the tree line. And he'll wait. He'll bide his time. Khan, just about pulling away. But the villagers are being sniped one by one. And the outpost is a fail again. And I think he lost, was that 1 or 2 villages in the end? I think that was just 1 so far. He brought up 4, right? But you can't do this now. The longbows are too effective. Remember, the attack speed buff, because of the town center, The network of castles effect, that attack speed up by about 13-14% on Lombos means they are shooting out quite regularly here. And the man-at-arms prevent your horsemen from reaching. So outpost is completed, but you still can't access the tree line yet. You need another outpost on top of this. And I think you only have 2 villagers left, yeah. So this is becoming quite the conundrum. Tech up is available for Hera, though. So Hera could actually end this soon. Because Lacone, he is holding on, but it is by a thread, right? And the problem he now has is he has no way of teching up. He's been stunted, right? He had to invest heavily. This is why we don't see this many man-at-arms at this phase of the game. It's a pricey investment. These cost 100 food and 20 gold each. And they don't have great health for that value, right? It's basically 1 resource for each point of health. And their ability to attack sucks, right? 10 damage isn't terrible, but the fact that you move at 1.12 tiles per second is terrible. And that's why usually at max we see 5 or 6 of these as basic cannon fodder in an archer and archer engagement. Never more, though. And yeah, this is do or die for Lacone. He has to understand what's going on. He invests so much into this, though. This is 900 wood into this trip battering ram. And it will get him through the outpost, yes. The question is what's going to happen afterwards. Because Hera, he's almost done with his tech up. He's almost in castle age. Meanwhile, Lacone is nowhere near ready because of this resource drain of having to defend himself with so many units early on. And you can tell the outposts have been here a while when they've already stripped away 1,000 HP from the council. Here they are, Baron Rams. And that will pull away the troops instantly. Hera knows that he has to forfeit that ground, but he builds even more outposts. It's the fact that he's delaying his opponent. It's the fact that he sees his investment. Now he's confident. And Lacone, his heart just hit the floor. He sees the castle age hit, and he's like, what the hell? This guy has placed how many outposts? 8, 9 outposts? And yet he's still up over me like this. Because he sees his numbers, and Lacone's like, I don't even have anywhere near the resources to tech up yet. And remember, Hera done this all without engaging on water. He's got nobody doing fishing. Meanwhile, 7 fishing boats for Lacone. Battering Ram's finally starting to push out. I don't even know if you needed this as Lacone, by the way. I think England had enough man-at-arms here. You could have rushed the outpost. He just didn't want to sacrifice that heavy investment of each of these units, right? So instead, sees the value in the Battering Rams. Thinks, maybe I'd lose like 10 of those man-at-arms. And that costs more than what it would to get 3 Battering Rams. And that's why he makes the choice. So network mostly gone. Scouts can't really do anything to the Battering Rams, but remember that quality troops are now coming. You see it, the Lancers being produced. That's the other detail here. Hera, he wasn't forced into using additional stone, really. Not much early on. So it meant he had that surplus to push out those initial Lancers in double the quantity as soon as he hit Castle Age, right? And that's why he already has 4 Lancers coming. And they'll arrive just in time before the outposts start to get taken out entirely. There's still 2 up for the moment. But he's a little bit hesitant for good reason. Yes, you don't have bonus damage against you because these aren't spears, but it's almost 30 man-at-arms running at you, and you only have 4 Lancers. So Hera will back up. Scouts in the meantime, trying to find their value before sneaking away. 1 or 2 of them are going to die, though. And this is a bit frustrating. You've lost the yam speed now. You no longer have that network, so you need new outposts if you want to keep that juju going. And he does have 2 villages here, so he could get it. And I do expect him to drop an outpost right here. Maybe a little bit further back, even. Now spears coming out as well. Lacone diversifying the force. Sees what his opponent has. Understands that even if there's just measly normie spears, they are still incredibly effective against the Lancers. And 1 or 2 of them get stuck. Scout and the Lancer already gone. No way out. They get zogged. And now standing his ground against this, trying to mincemeat his way through the Vanguard man-at-arms, or the early man-at-arms line. There is the Vanguard for Lacone. Lacone with a small force of archers moving in as well. And while the Lancers, they might take a while to fall, there are not enough of them to kill off the man-at-arms yet. He got rid of 5 of them, but he has to retreat. Now, the good news for Hera is this is a very slow-moving force. He has plenty of time to react. He could even go into crossbowman if he chooses. But right now, it looks like he's only getting Lancers. And Hera, he doesn't have surplus on the food front, so he's going to struggle to transition if he needs to. And Hera, despite this early aggression, I'm starting to wonder what your plan is. You're running out of points to retreat to, right? It is a slow force from Lacone, but Lacone still has a quantity big enough to push in. And this could cause problems. With more spearmen coming as well, the Lancers could begin to suffer. Still 3 Battering Rams. It's going to take a while, though. Step redoubt wasn't even utilized. Wait, Hera? What? Oh my god, Hera, no! Hera never moved the step redoubt. He hasn't been getting that bonus gold at all. He could have had more people on food, less on gold, and been getting the same number, and he would have been able to afford even more lancers and more infrastructure. Big mistake here. He moves the step redoubt away now. But he might pay a price here. I thought Hera was going to scale better. I looked at the numbers, I was confused, and now I know why. The step redoubt was just parked there next to the TC doing nothing. He was so busy managing the front and so busy trying to find a way to eke out a win in the mid-fight that now he's at risk of losing the game. And with so many troops here holding back the Lancers, there's no way of reaching the Baron Rams, and I think he's lost this game. I mean, the Spears are holding him back. The Lancers are getting low already. The Archers are picking them apart in the meantime as well. The TC's already down to half HP, and when it comes out, the Longbowmen are going to pick apart your villagers. Your villager count that is already behind, right? Hera sitting 16 eco units behind Lacone, and Lacone looking like he's at the edge of a win here. And you can just see it's all grinded to a halt. Hera, he's missing the food. He had plenty of gold, but he could have had more food in the bank. He could have had one or two additional buildings pushing out units. He could have had crossbowmen here. And because of that lack of efficient economy, because of that lack of a good composition, it's actually going to be Lacone who's going to win this one out.